Hey everyone, welcome back to Average Joe's Tech Reviews. I'm Joe, and we're outside today. Just me and a single camera, wireless mic going directly to the camera. So hoping this turns out well. We'll find out when I go into my editing afterwards. So here we are. We're going to be looking at something a little different today. It's still tech, but some people will be like, wait, that's not tech. We are actually looking at this bad boy right here, and this is a Dometic refrigerator. Not only is this a refrigerator, but it's a refrigerator and or freezer. We've had this thing for about 2 months now. I think a little bit longer, not sure. The reason we bought this was because, well, we're a family of 7 at this point, and we go on large family trips with this vehicle here, which you can't really see, but it's a Chevy Express 2500. And so that fits all of us. And, so far we were like, you know what? We need something better than just a standard cooler or a bunch of small coolers or just, hoping stuff stays cold while you're driving, which I don't know about you, but it really stinks to have a nice, fresh, cold soda from a gas station. And then like an hour later, you go to take a sip and you're like, oh man, it's not relaxingly cold anymore. So welcome to the answer to that problem. This brand is called the Bodega. And if I remember correctly, this is the Bodega 55 liter, Bodega 55. There are many brands in the market that look just like this, and that's just kind of the way it is. I think it's just that Asian-infused market of just very similar things that just are under a different brand name, etc., etc. So that's how it goes. But this brand is Bodega. Don't mind the stickers on it. We use the Jackery when it's in the van. So I'll kind of give you a breakdown of just what exactly this thing has for features before we actually take a look at it. Well, it has this nice handle for towing and pulling. Pulls out to about here. It's great. You can lift it up, and it has 2 back wheels. You can see the wheel there. Makes for easy movement and transportation to wherever we're going, whether we're at the beach, lake, picnic, or just getting it into the van. This thing has a little bit of weight to it. When it's empty and doesn't have any food items in it, I can usually do it myself by picking it up from here, and there's a handle back here that flips up and down, little suitcase style handle. I can lift it up and get it in the van. We've not only used this on 2 long road trips so far, we've also taken it with us to family outings because, let's be honest, it works a lot better than having a cooler with a bunch of melting ice in it, and we can put other things in here. Now, what did I mean by and or freezer? Well, if we open the top here, you can see there's 2 bins here, and I can kind of tip it for you. There's some stuff in here now. There's a not as deep and a very deep. When setting it up, it can either be both sides can be a fridge, both sides can be a freezer, or one side can be a fridge and one side can be a freezer. How cool is that? Oh, and it came with this little cutting board, which we don't use, but it's there. I don't know why they threw it in there, maybe to make it cool or extra special. It does have an LED light that turns on. Right now it is not on because my Jackery died. But I'll get it turned on in a second here when I get some plugs finagled. But that's what I mean by fridge or freezer. It can be both and or whatever you want to call it. But basically, when we've traveled, we have actually, for the longer road trip, we used it as both sides refrigerator. This way we could pack it full of drinks, Capri Sun, sodas, waters, even maybe a half gallon of milk that we took with us from the house, and try to make things pretty easily grabbable. This door here can actually come off. There we go. So it can come off completely, and it can either go back the way it was, or I can turn it and clip it on the other way. And depending on how it sits in your car or whoever you want to be having access to it, this will make it a lot easier. Nice locking and opening mechanism here. For using it as a freezer, we have normally used the shorter depth over here as our freezer, and that came in handy for our family outings by having frozen hamburgers, frozen hot dogs, things like that we could just put right in there. The fridge, it's fantastic. So I may be wrong, but I'll tell you in a minute or two after I get it turned on, but I think you can go as low as -5 degrees for the freezer setting, and as high as, I think, 40 something degrees for the refrigerator, but we usually set the fridge to about 30, 34, 33, because it does fluctuate. It's not a constant temperature the whole time, depending where you are, especially if the weather outside is a lot hotter or it's sitting in your van parked overnight or even during the day while you're doing stuff. I mean, obviously those temperatures will affect how hard it's working to keep that temperature, but we've never seen it skyrocket above more than 2 or 3 degrees from where we have it set. And then the freezer itself keeps things perfectly frozen. So drinks were always cold, frozen things stayed frozen. We've loved this thing. Again, we've had it for over 2 months, and we've used it for vacations, normal trips to the lake and beaches and things like that. So it's been a worthwhile investment for our family. And honestly, we're looking forward to more uses out of it from this point on, whether camping, things like that. So let's get this thing turned on. All right, it is now turned on. All right, you may not be able to see it at this angle, so I may end up having to use my phone camera. But it does have a digital display. You have your power, your settings, and the short side and the big side when it comes to temperatures. And over here you have a little USB port for charging your phone. And then you have your plus and your minus for changing the temperatures and the fridge. Because this was recently on in the garage, is currently holding a refrigerator temp right now on the, let's see, the short side is 39 right now, and the big side is 33, but I could be wrong on which side is which because I get confused when you're not paying attention. But I'm going to try and record my phone screen for you. So, all right, everyone, here we are using the phone to record. And it's really exciting because I didn't know the iPhone had this feature until I Googled it. So there's that. So here we are looking at where I put my utilities. And here is the car fridge freezer, the bottom left one, which you can download from the App Store once you get the Bodega fridge. Basically, you open it up. And it already detects my fridge, which I've named the Sal fridge, as you can't tell. But on this app, you get a lot of features on how to run this. You have on the bottom, the high, the medium, or the low, and you hear the beeps. It's actually changing on the device. And that means in how much of the battery or how much wattage is going to be sucked out. You can have this in Fahrenheit or Celsius. You can also, what's beautiful is, what I didn't tell you was on the fridge, those buttons that are touchscreen kind of, just wiping your hand over the screen will cause you to make one of the buttons do something. And so the downside of that is there were many times on our first trip, because we were still learning how to use this, that we ended up accidentally turning off the refrigerator with the power button because we weren't paying attention and we didn't know. So there we go. Put the lock button, and now you hear it beeping, but guess what? Nothing's happening. That's right. It's not turning off, nothing, no changes. And you can also put it in eco mode, which will lower the amount of wattage that it will pull and won't be as loud, and it'll keep the temperature as best it can, stuff like that. Now you have your left side and your right side. Okay, and this is where you control the temperature. Like I said, I was wrong, so it is -4 degrees is the lowest that you can go and set it to, with the highest being 68 degrees. We currently set our fridges around, like I said, 33 to 34, so about right there, boom. And same with the right one, and as you can tell, it gives the current temperature because the fridge had been off for a little while, probably about 30 minutes after I made the video, so you can tell that the smaller space is 39 degrees, and that could be the big one. I don't know. But your current temp is 42 and 39 compared to what I've had it set to, and it'll go from there. Then you also have the power button, upper right. I'm not going to push that right now, but that's where you can just basically turn it off from your phone. This is all connected by Bluetooth, so you have a limited distance in which you can actually control the fridge. So I can't control it from like my office while it's sitting in the garage. Here we have the My Fridge and the user manual in the upper right, where you can kind of learn about your fridge. There you go. Or search for more fridges. And then you have your user manual, which will talk about how to Bluetooth pair it. Then you have your settings, and just kind of a breakdown. Advanced settings is only for factory maintenance. So pretty simple, very easy to use. We use this the entire trip. Anytime we turn it back on, we immediately get our phone and we start setting the temperatures to whatever we want. We usually throw it in eco mode once it's at temperature, and we will always lock it so that there's no accidental turning off of the fridge, because that's mostly what would happen, was turning off. I mean, if you bump the temperature up a degree or two, wouldn't really hurt anything, but turning it off really stinks when you don't know that it's been off and you might have been driving for a while and you're like, wait, why is my drink not cold? And you look at the front and go, oh, well, that's why. And having that lock function is awesome. I love it. So that's the app that controls the fridge. All right. On to the next part. You have some very simple buttons here to change what you need to. So right now that's changing this temperature. Right now I've got it set to 34. And then if I hit the settings button, right now the setting, oh, that's right. Settings button will change it between max and eco mode, and that's the amount of wattage it's going to pull while it's running. Usually when we're getting this started, we'll keep it in max, especially if we're trying to get stuff cold a little quicker. We will use eco mode once it's at temperature when it's in the car. And so basically we will run this off the Jackery, and the Jackery will trickle charge in the van. And I'll show you a clip right now of where we put it in the van. And this is where we put our Dometic fridge, actually, when we travel, because it's mostly what we use it for. Right here in between passenger and driver's seat of our 2012 Chevy Express 2500. And it sits, I mean, it's a little messy because it's a big van, but it sits perfectly right there, resting usually right against here, and goes about as far back as right here. And then my wife, these blue straps right there, she actually uses them to keep the fridge from sliding back and forth because it has those two wheels that I previously mentioned. And so, yeah, it rests here. And what we do is, because that top can switch locations, we actually can, we set it up so, you know, these are usually up because the fridge sits about yay high. So it's great elbow resting room. But we have it so the door opens here for the passenger to reach in and get whatever they need, whether it's me, the driver, whoever's driving, to be like, hey, I need a drink of water, a Pepsi, whatever. They can get in, get drinks, snacks for the kids, pass it back. So not too shabby. Welcome back. Basically, the Chevy Express 2500s don't have the best battery. And so you don't want to run the fridge directly off the battery. Now, this fridge does come with like this special feature where if it detects that it's like sucking too much power from the car battery or something's wrong, it'll actually turn off and prevent any damage to your vehicle battery. But just to circumvent that, I use the Jackery 500 that I previewed a few episodes ago. And usually, right now, that's what it's running off of. We have the DC going on right now, which is a 12 volt, 10 amps. And that's turned on, and that's actually running the fridge. And then what we usually do is, right now this is plugged into our garage plug to charge this back up. It was empty when I brought it out. But basically we have a vehicle charger for the Jackery, which is right here, which is orange tipped. How pretty. And we usually plug that into the car DC outlet. And basically we don't lose much in the realm of energy. Now you may be asking, well, how long will this fridge run on a Jackery? Because that's important to me. So right now we have the Jackery 500. And I think, well, let's see. Just in the house, when I did normal testing, like in a controlled environment, like in our house, the fridge ran on the Jackery 500 with regular max, not eco. It ran for, what was it, 52 and a half hours straight. In the van during our travels, like when we were at our Airbnb in Florida, I basically had it in the van for whenever we drive the van to do things, go to the beach. And it ran for just shy of 48 hours with the constant temperature changes. So it was like just about 2 days on the nose, almost, maybe a little under, depending on how hot it was. And it was pretty hot in Florida. So I highly recommend that if you do get something like this travel fridge, you get like the Jackery 500 or even the 1500 or 1000, and you could run the fridge for a couple days without worrying about it, especially if you do some type of camping where you don't have any utilities or electricity, or if you're lucky enough to maybe buy the even the solar panels for the Jackery. Boondocking is what they call it when we go camping without all the fun electronics to keep us running, all the power. This thing can run for a couple days on that, on the Jackery. So basically, to help protect the car battery, we use the Jackery as the in-between, have that trickle charging by the van, which is always fun. And yeah, right now it's done running its condensers. Now we're at 33 and 34 on the two sides, so looking pretty good. The plug is right here in the back. In fact, I'll turn it around so you can see. All right, we're just gonna do a quick moment here of that beautiful footage of this wonderful device. There's the plug, the battery holding unit there. It actually does come with a cover to cover it, and you can use it to store stuff, but you know, whatever. There's a solar plug in there, but I've never used that. There it is. Here is the front panel screen. Hard to see right now. Very simple controls. Here's that. There's the LED lights that turn on when you open the fridge, and nice deep, somewhat deep. Let's back this up a little bit. So down here we have the plug. Now, when buying this Bodega fridge, I did buy it. I'm going to sit on it like this because I'm awesome. I did buy it with the battery pack that you can actually buy with this, but here's the problem with the battery pack, and I have not gotten an answer back from Bodega yet. You can buy an additional battery pack to go with this. It does not come with it. You can buy it, and it just slides right into this center hole right here. And it's supposed to be able to run the fridge for, I don't know, I think half a day or a day, depending on how you're running it. But the problem I was running into is when I was running it, I kept getting a voltage error on the front panel here telling me there was an issue. And so I don't know how to solve that. I tried all the different settings from eco mode to low power to, there's all kinds of different settings, and again, I'll show you in a little bit here, but all the settings, I mean, you get some simple settings on the front panel, but it's on the app where you get a lot of the control of this fridge, and I'll do my best to record that screen to let you know. But yeah, normally a battery pack can go there, but this is the plug here, and there's two sets of plugs that come with the Bodega. One is the wall jack, which is this right here, to go ahead and plug it in. Standard 2-prong, good to go, use it on the wall. The other one is the one that's currently being plugged into the Jackery now, which is the DC, and so that's what's running this right now. Where else can we talk about this? Noise volume on this is extremely low, even when it's on max power and it's really pumping that condenser in there to get the freezer and the fridge cooled down. It's not loud at all. I mean, my van is louder on the inside than this thing is, and even when this thing is in our house, like in the dining room, when I had it first plugged in and running, just giving it some test runs when we first got this. This device is not very loud at all. So obviously, if you do eco mode, it's not going to be that loud, and it doesn't turn on the condenser as much. When it does, it's not too loud, but you don't really hear it. It's really great like that. So if you're boondocking like in a tent or somewhere like maybe in a room with people, and you're like, oh gee, we're going to bed, I hope this thing isn't loud. Well, guess what? This thing ain't loud. And there's plenty of room in this, and it's pretty sturdy too. It's made of like this really hard plastic. I don't even know what you want to call it, but it's just a very hard plastic all the way around. Seems pretty durable. Like I said, we've used it in different environments so far, and we've loved every moment with it. So let's talk about some features that the app has. So like I said, we're going to cut to a recording of me opening up the app in here, and you download it in the App Store with how it tells you, and it's called the Car Fridge Freezer, and we're going to check out that right now. All right, welcome back. Let's take a seat. Hey, look at my face again. It's really bright out, so I didn't put sunglasses on because I thought people like to see my eyes, I guess. I don't know. So, average consumer, is this worth it? Well, if you are like our family and you like to go on adventures, go to the lake, do long road trips, then yes, I highly recommend this fridge. I mean, even my wife's sister lives about an hour north of us, and we'll have this thing in the van, like the video showed you. We'll have it in the van, and we'll put stuff in there to bring to her house, whether we're going to cook stuff or even just have drinks in there, just so we have a nice cold drink on our drive up and on the drive home or whatever it is. And then take it out of the van and roll it in their house or out to their deck and have it for keeping stuff cold, especially stuff we're grilling, etc., etc. So is this thing worth it? It is. This thing will run you about, I think I was able to get a Father's Day sale on it, so it was around the $400 price range, maybe a little bit more, because I did the battery pack, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't highly recommend doing the battery pack. I would say if you're going to invest in a battery pack, get something like the Jackery over here to help run it, or something like the Jackery that can run this for a couple days. But like I said, whether you're a short jaunt, camping, long road trip, this thing is worth every penny. I don't know about you, but I like my cold drinks when I'm driving, especially in these summery days. Heck, even in the winter when your heater's running, still want to get a soda or a water while I'm on a long road trip, whatever it is, skiing, camping, hiking, whatever. This thing is worth every penny for your family. Heck, I used it for myself. I had a conference about a month ago up in Denver, and what I did is I just threw this in the trunk of the small little Honda we have. It's a hatchback, so I threw that in the back, and I had the Jackery back there, and I had it all running in, so that, you know, anytime I started the car, it would automatically charge up the Jackery a little bit. And it was great because the place we were at, sadly, didn't exactly have air conditioning. They had swamp coolers, but when you're talking about a couple hundred people congregating into one area, it got really hot and sweaty real fast. And I was able to just run out to my car, pop this open, grab an ice cold water or an ice cold Pepsi or whatever, and cool myself off, and I didn't have to worry about having lukewarm water or room temperature water or sweating to death. So this thing was a nice little lifesaver for that conference. And I purposely did that knowing that, hey, that last time I went to this conference, it was really hot and sweaty, so maybe I can, and I did. Took it with me, had it in the back of the car the whole time. It was really hot. It got really hot in the car, but the fridge kept the temperature well. The Jackery definitely lost a lot more power due to the heat. I think when you're talking about batteries like this, especially in extreme heats, the battery may not work as well. So definitely wasn't even it maybe would have lasted me a day. But I mean, I was getting the heat warning on the Jackery. It actually came up with a heat warning that it was too hot in the car, and so I just made note of that and made sure to turn it off if I needed to, but I actually never turned it off. I basically just made sure the windows were open so there was some type of breeze in the car, even though it was still hot, and it was a black little car, so you know, but it still survived, and the fridge still ran strong, and that was great. And heck, I even used it when I went and stopped at the grocery store when I was up there and threw a couple, you know, things I was going to take into my sister's house that I was staying at for the conference there. And yeah, so to answer the question more simply, I guess, it is worth every penny for any type of adventure you're wanting to do. Right now, where do we store it? Well, we used to store it in the house in the dining room because, again, we were doing a lot of trips, so we kind of kept it close, or we always kept it in the van and just let it sit there. Right now, it's been in the garage just because we had it in the very back of our van for a trip my wife recently just did. So, but basically what we like to do is usually just keep it in the van off, and then when we know we're going to be using it, either the night before or even that day, I'll turn it on, throw some waters in there, throw some drinks, whatever we need for our trip, and off we go. So it's been worth every penny. I'm very glad that we purchased this. I'm glad that I researched it for a little while, where I was looking on YouTube videos and online to kind of see what fridge was better, because originally when we had our Jeep, I was a big ARB fan. So of course ARB has their own ARB fridge, but you're talking over $1,000 for something that's even this size that could take the amount of stuff this fits, but it's only a fridge. When I found this, that it had a fridge freezer option, it was like, why not? Let's do it. Like, let's, you know, so I researched it, and here we are, more than 2 months later, still using it, still loving it. And honestly, I don't know how we would have survived road trips in the past without it. Now that we have it, it's like one of those luxuries. It's like once you have it, it's like, I am not getting rid of this thing. Even if it breaks down the road, I will buy another one. But right now we're going almost 3 months strong on it, and there's been no issues, no problems. Even at the bottom of these, because you may think of, well, what about condensation? There are little plug holes at the bottom, so you can unplug it and it'll drain under here, drain out any condensation and water. It's very easy to clean. It has these baskets in here that you can just lift out with the food in it or empty and leave it open, let it dry out. Easy peasy, especially here in Colorado with the dry weather we have. Things dry out pretty quick here, so it hasn't been an issue for me, and cleaning it was really easy. So yeah, again, like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. But this has been a different piece of tech, but I was really excited to talk about it and tell you about it, and hopefully you may get a chance to buy one yourself depending on your situation. So that's all I got. This is Joe with Average Joe's Tech Reviews, and have a great day.